this past weekend was Memorial Day weekend, and I know that I told you guys I was going to my nephew's wedding up in the Smoky Mountains. And I haven't really talked about it that much this week, but the inspiration for today's class is stemming from the drive over. So usually when I go to the Smoky Mountains, I will usually take I-40 and maybe cut through Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, or I'll continue into North Carolina and head towards Bryson City, which I actually prefer the North Carolina side because it's a little bit quieter. But what happened on the way there, the kids wanted something in particular to eat. And it wasn't one of those stops where it's just going to be off and exit. So getting close to Knoxville, we looked up whatever restaurant it was. I don't even remember now. We looked at whatever restaurant it was, and it was taking us out of the way. But we had all the time in the world on Friday because we had allowed ourselves hours to get there before daylight, so that when we got into North Carolina, we'd be able to find the cabin easily. We knew we were going to have to go up a bunch of mountain roads. But to make a long story short, what happened when we got off the interstate and went into the small town to eat, when we put the maps back on, it did not take us back to the interstate. And Rob and I looked at each other and we're like, why not? Let's just follow the maps. And so we went on all these back roads. And I'm going to show you a picture of what's in red. If you can see that in red, it's called Deal's Gap Map. I don't know if that's the real name, but it's really called the Dragon Tail, or the Tail of the Dragon. And that red marking is an actual road. And that's where maps took us. So you can imagine going up the mountains. It had massive amount of curves and switchbacks. And I mean, it was pretty crazy. And it was for 11 miles. So for an 11-mile stretch, never being on this road before, we're just winding our way around and around and around. And we realized pretty quickly this was a motorcycle route. So the majority of the people on that particular road were on motorcycles. There was a motorcycle resort at some point along that route, and we only passed 2 other cars, and they were sport cars. So they were really wanting to test kind of their wheels and their drive on all of those massive curves. We still did not know the significance of this road or what it was called until the next day. When we were in Bryson City, we went into a shop. It was like a craft artsy kind of shop, and there was one wall with a bunch of t-shirts, and my son said, "Ooh, I'd like that t-shirt," and it was a dragon, and it had that map on it. And then after studying it, we realized that's the road that we had been on. So anyway, this yin flow is sometimes a blend of active and passive poses. And that's what I want to do today. So we're going to start off active, and then we're going to melt into the dragon poses. So the dragon poses are stemming from this recent trip and inspiration. And we're going to start sitting on the mat. Have blocks and a bolster available. And when you come to sit upright on a folded blanket or pillow, rest your arms to your lap. Close your eyes. And start to notice how you feel physically in your body. Notice the state of your mind. We're going to try to build up a deeper connection between the mind and the body. And go ahead and begin to invest in your breath. Feeling the air enter into your lungs. And also acknowledging how it escapes. Stay mindful of your breath and continue to control the breath so that the mastery of the breath can help us to override any stress or worry in the mind. And anything we're holding in the body. Allow the in-breath to bring you a sense of renewal. And allow each exhalation to drop you into a state of sweet surrender. And on your next in-breath, open the eyes and bring your hands to prayer. Lace the hands together, and as you exhale, extend your wrist out in front of you. Inhale, now lift the arms straight up. Pausing here at the top, stretching through your side body, opening up space between each vertebra, waking up some of our back muscles and improving our core muscles. On your exhalation, allow the left hand to gently fall away, your right arm to reach up and over the ear. Inhale, come through center, and as you exhale, plop down on the right palm and sail the left arm over. We're going to do that a couple more times. Inhale through center, exhale rainbow, over to one. Inhale through center and exhale rainbow across to the other. We're going to do one more to each. Remember, side bending opens up two different directions for the spine to move and open. Twist takes it in another two directions. And then the next sequence is going to take us in the last two directions. So you're going to come away from that prop you were sitting on, and you're going to hold on to your shins. As you inhale, your shoulders draw back and your heart and chin lift. And as you exhale, draw the belly in and push back into the shoulder blades and bow the head. Inhale, open up. Exhale, close off. Inhale and exhale. One more. And now as you come back up, you're going to swap the positioning of the feet. As you inhale, lift the arms up. And as you exhale, you're going to spin to the right. Your left hand crosses over to the right knee, and your right hand is going to come just behind your tailbone. Once you have the hand set, lift up again to the crown. Exhale, see if you can twist and wind your way a little bit deeper into the pose. Luckily, I had just passed the dragon off to Rob when we stopped to eat. And so he said eventually at the top of that road, after we've been traveling on it a while, he was like, I'm so glad this is over. My eyes are going cross-eyed. So notice what your eyes are doing now. Can you look sharply through the right corner of the eyes? Finding one point to gaze at. And channeling the breath up and down, in and out. Relieve the hands and lift the arms, return to center. Exhale, swish around to the left. Right hand to the left knee, left hand behind the back. Recommit to lengthening and elongating the spine, and exhale, winding your way a little deeper into that twist. Now, if you go deeper and that blocks or inhibits the breath, then please do less. The breath is the elixir and brings the magic into the practice. So keep it under your command. Try not to go cross-eyed looking towards the tip of the nose, but rather gaze off into the left corner of the eyes, which is called Parashvadrishti. Inhale, remove the hands, lift the arms back up, and then exhale, allow the arms to come down. All right, we're going to come up to stand. When you come up to stand, we're actually going to stand sideways on the mat. And we're going to drill the feet down. And the hands are going to slide to the waist. The shoulders roll back. And as we exhale, we're going to start to hinge forward. Eventually drape the fingertips down to the floor. And this is where, of course, you can absolutely use blocks. But we're going to continue to fold. So if you need the block, slide them back. Bow your head more. And the idea is to allow the crown of the head to be face down. This is Prasarita Padottanasana. Opening up the back of the legs and helping the low back to decompress. This does bring a lot of blood flow down to the brain, to the face. So feel free to modify if you have a tendency to develop vertigo, or if you need to avoid inversions for any reason. On your next inhale, walk the fingertips forward, re-lift the head and the chest, stack the hands back to the waist, plug the feet down into the floor, and slowly realign. Now, if you had blocks down and you were needing them, just keep them there, because that can work as a place where you land your hand for the next round. We're going to uplift the arms. I'm going to try to mirror you. So when you're ready, you're going to lower your right hand down and shine your left arm skyward. We're going to pause here in the twist, so continue to breathe. You are trying to stretch out through the spine, even though you're twisting. So you're pushing back through the tailbone, radiating out through the crown of the head. And then inhale, return to stand. Exhale, lower the right hand, uplift the left arm, holding and breathing. Inhale to the top. Exhale, this time, if you don't need blocks, if you need blocks, go to the same point. If you don't need blocks, send the hand a little closer to the foot, just not all the way. Feel that extra rotation you can gain in the upper body. Inhale, come up. Exhale, the right hand's going to scoot a little closer to the left foot. Feel the variance of the twist. Inhale to the top. Exhale, left hand over to the right foot, if possible. Inhale back to stand. Exhale to the other. Inhale up. Exhale, relax your arms. All right, from here, we're actually going to turn the left foot out 90 degrees. We're going to lunge that knee and see if we can really drop the thigh. Now, sometimes that requires a little bit more space between the feet. We're going to flip And the left palm open, sail it up towards the sky to reverse the warrior. And as we exhale, we're coming to side angle. And we're doing it a modified way. Twice more. Inhale, reverse the warrior. Exhaling, side angle. One more. So we're starting off active. We're about to move to the dragon poses, inspired from that crazy road we traveled. All right, we're gonna bring that top arm down. We're gonna spin off the back heel and land the back knee, shin, and foot. Okay, from here, the hands can stack onto the left knee. And you can come up to an upward dragon. And you're melting down with your hips in the pelvic floor. Now, this can be intense. I realize that. If that's too much, you're going to lean forward. And the hands can be on blocks or the mat. You can also be on fists. But what you're going to try to do is drop the weight of the shoulder and chest down. Notice how that starts to round the back. And you can bow your head. And this is where we use the breath to stay calm and patient, to help us to build some endurance and stamina, to cultivate perseverance as we continue to hold. Notice what pipes up. Notice when sensation begins to wax or wane. Your breath can be your go-to during times where you feel anxious or stressed. We can find ourselves in stressful situations like a really curvy mountainous road. And so we're training ourselves for those moments as we're here on the mat. We all know life throws us curveballs. And our life path is not always a straight path. There's a lot of unknowns. All right, we're going to take this into a lower form of dragon. So to do that, bring the hand on the outside to the inside of the foot and heel toe that foot over to the edge. And this is where you can be stacked on arms, or you can bring the props underneath your arms to bring the floor to you, or you can just drop on down. Notice what shows up first, resistance in your mind or body. And you override it through the power of the breath. And you submit, and you surrender, and you just be. If you want to add in a twist, you can wing that knee away from your body, take the hand gently to the inside of your thigh, and roll to the outer edge of the foot. Unwind the twist, stack back onto your arms, Push into your hands to slide the hips back. Slide the right foot and knee back. And then we're going to tip forward, lowering onto the front of the legs, sliding the feet apart. And then glide the hands beyond the edges of the mat and prop yourself up to seal. If seal is too much, come down to the elbows, more of a Sphinx position. Healthy compression for the low back. Keep the buttocks neutral, no engagement. And same with the legs and feet. This is one of the passive held positions where the arms are doing most of the work. Out breath, roll down to the brow. Slide your hands up underneath your shoulders. Draw the feet together, knees and thighs together. Push up and lean back into extended child's pose. If you keep the thighs knit together, that's going to provide some support for the low back. The elbows can be up or down. Once you've provided this counter, we're going to move into another counter. Rock up hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Press into the hands and the feet. Shine up through your seat. Let your neck loosen. Lengthen and strengthen the muscles through your limbs. Breathe to bring the pose to life. And then slowly begin to travel the feet forward towards the hands. When the feet come side by side, soften your knees, bow down, clasp a hold of your elbows. Take dangling pose. I'm talking about a certain highway today that's referred to as Tail of the Dragon. But often in the end, we're talking about other types of highways called meridians. And they're the energetic pathways. Different poses are going to target different ones. This is opening up the governor vessel meridian, urinary bladder meridian. If you ever need to modify this pose, your hands can stack on your shins or thighs. You can also have the hands on blocks, keeping the head up so that you're not getting all that excess blood flow to the face and brain. Three more breaths. Bend the knees. Drape the arms and come up like a rag doll. The head comes up. We're going to step to the side again. All right, we got the other side to do. Feet root down, hands to the hips, shoulders back. Exhale, hinge forward. Bring the hands down. Keep the head up this time. We're not going to go as low or hold as long. Hands to the hips, return to stand. Now rotate that right foot around, lunge that knee. Drop thoroughly through that thigh bone if possible. Reverse that warrior. And then exhale, side angle. And then twice more, flowing with breath. Stabilize through the foundation from the hips down. And gain access to movement from the waist up. And then we're going to focus more on the hips. So we're going to bring that top hand down, spin off the back heel, land your back knee, shin, foot. And then at first you can be here, more of the upward dragon. Not this, not Anjaneyasana, but it's that sinking, dropping, more passive approach. This can be a lot for that iliopsoas. And if that's the case, come on down. So this is what I meant earlier. You can use hands to blocks. You can also drape the forearms to the blocks. Bow your head. So I'll say this on occasion. I'm going to remind you, since it's the beginning of the summer months now, and a lot of people will be traveling. It is really important when you are traveling long distances and sitting for a period of time that you make sure you get up and move your body. It will help to prevent blood clots. And that's why if you're on an international flight, sometimes they'll play a video. And I know they used to do air aerobics, and now they do in-flight yoga. We're going to go a little lower in our dragon. So we need to heel toe that foot over to the edge. And then of course, this is what I mean by bringing the floor to you, right? You can stack on props like blocks or bolsters, especially on days where your body doesn't want to submit to the ground. Notice when you're breathing here, if you're starting to feel a lot internally, if you start to grit your teeth, if so, separate the teeth. If you start to push your lips together, be mindful of that and maybe put a little separation there because that can help to soften the jaw, one of the strongest joints in the body. If you want to switch into the flying portion, you can wing that knee away from your body and take a twist. Casually glancing up over the left shoulder. So something that I've been doing recently, we have two kids that are turning 15 soon. So we've been getting them out in parking lots and letting them figure out how to drive. How does it feel being behind the wheel? Learning all the basics, right? And it can be stressful as the parent teaching this. But something that we're constantly telling them is pay attention to the mirrors, keep looking over your shoulder, keep paying attention to the other drivers so that you're being defensive versus an offensive driver. That's what we're doing here in the dragon. We're looking over the shoulder, seeing what's around. And then unwind from that, stack onto your hands. And once you stack onto your hands, take your time because that was a long hold. Sliding back to table. All right, from here, driving down to the top of the leg, separating the feet. Arms slide out past the corners of the mat to lift you up to seal. Or Sphinx. I'm going to do Sphinx now. You can go back to seal if you prefer. If you choose Sphinx, the head can be up or down. Eyes can be open or shut. Feet together. Hands slide back, come down to the brow. Inhale, push up to table. Keep your thighs close together as you sit back into child's pose. Arms up or down. Breath nice and full. Inhale, walk the fingertips forward, rock up to hands and knees, and exhaling, downward facing dog. Hold and breathe. Let your inhale bring you the energization to hold. And let your exhalation settle you in, centering your awareness. Now travel the feet forward towards your hands. Soften the knees, cross the arms. And notice we're creatures of habit. So most likely we cross the arms this same exact way, so flip it. It will feel slightly awkward or unusual, less familiar.
We often find ourselves surrounded by unfamiliar faces, unfamiliar settings, even like that example of us following the maps and taking that scenic drive. Even though it was stressful, we had to remember, look around because it was also really spectacular, so beautiful. Imagine if we looked at beauty in all of our stressful situations. Couple more breaths. And then bend your knees. Let your arms go and draw up through the core. Slowly coming to stand. When you come to stand, you're going to cross one foot over the other and stay on the ball of the foot because we're just going to turn. Lift the arms up, lift your heels up, and balance in this variation of chair. And eventually start sinking, down to the feet, hands to the heart, toe balance. And we're going to go safely and cautiously to the floor. However that works for you. And the legs are going to come out in front. All right. So we're going to draw the left shin in front of us first. Pick up the right heel. And you're going to try to stack it on the left knee. Obviously, if you're rounding the back and the knee is closer to the face, you're going to want to drop that foot over to the other side so you can lift your chest. All right, we're going to work around the clock, so to speak. So we're going to start off taking the hands to the outside of the left thigh, and we're just going to pour over. So it's not about how high or low you are, but see what's possible and available. Walk the hands closer to that left knee, right foot, and angle your upper body over that region now. Now we're going to walk it through the middle, right over the lap, and hang out here. Walking the hands over now, closer to the right knee, left foot, and release. And at different segments that we move to, you may have to either back up or you might be able to go lower. You may not stay at that same level all the way around. Inhale, lift, and exhale, walk it over to the outside of the right thigh. And if there was one section or segment that felt like it was more needed, you're going to go back to that space and hold just a few more breaths. Inhale, slowly, cautiously exit. Lean back into your hands. Bend your knees, feet flat, and then windshield wipe back and forth. All right, right shin in front. Pick up the left foot, cross it over to the right knee. So ideally, this bottom foot is not close to the hip, but rather it's away from the body, lining up underneath the left knee. So it's like double shin stacking. They call it double fire log pose or double pigeon pose. We're going to start off taking the hands to the outside of the right thigh. But before you do that, notice if there's any gaps. And you may be quite surprised at the end of the sequence. Fold over the right side of your lap. Hands walk closer to the left foot and right knee. And then you're angling your trunk in that direction. Now inch over to the middle. Feel that kindling of heat in the outer hips. Look at that as being your own inner incinerator. Burning away Toxins, tension, blame and shame, feelings like guilt, or any emotional residue. Walking it over now to the other knee. Over to the left thigh, straight down. And then walk it to the area where you felt like you needed it the most. This will be our last few breaths for this sequence. And slowly build back up. This time, we're going to lean back into the hands and take hammock pose, which is where the legs are extended, flip-flop the feet. Bounce the knees. Okay, so personally, I was a little excited this morning after that sequence we just did because we went into a supine twist. And on one of my supine twists, there is a gap typically between the knees. And after that sequence today, when we went into this pose, it was gone, you guys. So I want us to test the waters here. So roll down to your back, catch your knees. And then expand, open through your arms and let the knees drop off to the left. And hopefully, if you normally have a gap between your thighs, hopefully you see that has slimmed up or maybe even non-existent at this point, because this twist that we're doing requires a lot for the low back. That sequence we just did, even though we felt it more in the hips, it's equally good for the low back. Take 3 deep breaths while you're here. And now you're going to get that visual if you want to look. When you bring the knees through center, take them off to the other side. I usually have a gap and it's gone. All right, so you might experience that. It's okay if you don't. And then we'll lounge here. 3 more breaths. Draw the knees through center, reset the back by hugging them in. Now I'm going to be simple with my Shavasana today. I'm taking the bolster under the thighs and knees. If you prefer it to be somewhere else, you can. We're going to take our final rest. Once you get settled, try to maintain your state of alertness and wakefulness, even though the eyes will close. Just consider that windy road that I was mentioning at the beginning of class. The eyes really had to be peeled open, and we really had to pay close attention. Because not only were we climbing a mountain, but it was the curviest road I think I've ever been on. The same applies for Shavasana. Even though it's not stressful, even though we're not moving, we want to maintain that alertness and wakefulness while we're here. So choose to focus on following your breath, picturing some sort of sacred symbol to meditate on in your heart or mind, or repeating a positive word or phrase. Place your hands onto your belly. Notice when the breath is uncontrolled in a relaxed state, it's more subtle. But bring aliveness to the breath. So it builds in magnitude. And then inhale, stretch the arms overhead. Exhale, hug the knees back in. Sway side to side. Landing over to one. Coming up to take a seat. Sometimes it's just hard to come up and sit after that. But I do want you to sit and close your eyes and to assess and notice how you feel physically in your body now. And also checking in with the state of your mind and hopefully feeling an improvement. Joining your palms together to prayer. We'll end with a word that's often used as a greeting in India, but the true meaning means my soul recognizes and sees your soul. Or the light of the love in my heart bows to the divinity of love and light within yours. Namaste.